Every month there's a different theme, and that theme is presented on throughout the whole world. This month's theme is ugly. CreativeMornings is very special. It's completely free. So we rely completely on sponsors and volunteers to put this together. We have to thank PMQ for giving us this space, which is fantastic, and it's very aligned with the CreativeMornings brand. Bagels to go. Bagels to go. Everybody have breakfast this morning? Delicious bagels. Pacific Coffee for providing the coffee. General Assembly who provide funding as well. CreativeMornings, not just financial sponsorship and breakfast and coffee, relies on a number of volunteers. Cranberry, Krishma Sujan, who is taking photographs and video of today's event. Photographs and video will be available on various sites such as the Facebook page and the website probably by the end of next week. So take a look at it and share it with the people who couldn't make it today. A number of volunteers worked really hard on Creative Mornings. Creative Mornings Hong Kong was brought here by the truly brilliant Juliet O'Halloran. Please wave. I'm very grateful for Juliet for inviting myself. I'm Mandy Queen, founder of Craig Communications, a PR agency in Hong Kong. Juliet and her team worked very, very hard to arrange the sponsorship, to find the venues, to put everything together, find the speakers and so on. There's other volunteers such as Diana Chen from Stepworks. Where's Diana? The back there. Brian Ho from the Hong Kong Freelance Network. And Boris Burgess, who can't make it today, unfortunately. If you're on Twitter, please do follow us. The hashtag is CMHK for Hong Kong and hashtag Creative Mornings for the globe. We'll be tweeting live today as well. Please follow us at HongKong_CM. The reason you're all here is you've come to hear Jay Forster speak. Now, I met Jay for the very first time at Clockenflap. I think it was the last night of Clockenflap. And I basically went, oh, you'd be like a great speaker for Creative Mornings. The following day, if he's not busy enough, the following day I emailed him and said, do you remember me from last night? Would you like to present? Needless to say, he was very busy and had a few things to sort out after organising Hong Kong's biggest musical event. But he did email me back a few days later and said he'd love to be involved. Jay sent over his biography not long after that discussion, and we were all, everybody at Creative Mornings was amazed at what he's achieved in such a short period of time. Not only does he organise this wonderful event that I imagine many of you have been to, but he's been involved in film direction and mixed media art, and also he's studying a master's in social sciences just now. I don't know how you find the time, but wow. I'd like to hand the mic over to you now. Thank you.
So the theme today is ugly, and whenever I kind of considered this like a brief in a way. It's like a project. So it's a word. It's based with a word. And what I normally do when I start a project, actually before I start a project, let me talk about the structure of this presentation a little bit. So it's going to start with a preamble, which is kind of what I'm doing now, and then there's going to be an amble for a little while, and then a rant at the end. Okay. Just so you know what's coming. Okay. So back to this idea of ugly. So if I get a brief as a designer or a creative person, so I normally go straight to the dictionary, even though I should know full well what the word ugly means. But I kind of find it helps to just kind of refresh in one's mind and just to read what the dictionary has to say. So according to the dictionary, ugly is very unattractive or unpleasant to look at, offensive to the sense of beauty, displeasing in appearance, disagreeable, unpleasant, etc. So it's kind of a negative connotation. Ugly is generally considered negative, right? And yet you can't really think of ugly without thinking about beautiful. I guess that's the opposite end of the spectrum, as it were. If I say, don't think about turnips, what are you thinking about? Exactly. So ugly and beautiful go hand in hand. So I guess in a way, even though the theme of this presentation is ugly, I think it's kind of beautiful as well, right? So I looked up beautiful, again, just to kind of refresh. Having beauty, possessing qualities that give great pleasure or satisfaction to see, hear, think about, etc. Delighting the senses or mind. So I kind of consider these two words as binary opposites in a way. They're polarized. I think this is something for discussion, but they shouldn't necessarily exist together, although I think they can. But in this case, I think let's just assume that beauty's at one end and ugly is at the other end. And I think as creative people, which I assume everyone is, or at least interested in creativity, I think we're forced into this mindset of making these kind of knee-jerk decisions as to whether things are beautiful or not. And maybe this is, I think as creative people, right, we're living in this kind of post-industrial age where things are not really produced in a place like Hong Kong anymore. It's all produced in other countries. So what's actually produced in a place like Hong Kong is ideas, right? This is cultural capital, you could say. So, and we're all concerned with that idea of like producing ideas and creativity and knowledge and music and art and all these kind of things. So it's very important that we understand if something's ugly or if something's beautiful, because if we didn't know that difference, how could we create anything or judge anything or value anything, right? I can't remember, my slides are getting a bit older. I just had this thing about PMQ actually, and I was thinking like this place is full of beautiful objects, right? Like it's kind of under one roof, we've got all these amazing stores and designer workshops and whatnot. And there are so many wonderful objects here that have been lovingly designed, right? The thing is, there's almost too many beautiful objects under one roof. And I had this idea the other day, maybe we need like an ugly room in PMQ. So you could just put hideous, grotesque objects in this one room. And then before kind of having a walk around, you go into the room and you kind of like fill your eyes with hideousness. And then that could help calibrate, your next experience through PMQ. So that's a free suggestion for PMQ if they want to do the ugly room. So as you mentioned, I'm studying sociology at the moment at Hong Kong U. And one of the books that I read as part of this course was this book called Art Worlds by Howard Becker. Highly recommend this, it's really cool. Written in the 70s. And what this guy basically kind of suggests and proves, I guess, is the idea that the myth of the lone artist or the lone genius is exactly that. It's kind of a myth. And maybe that's part of a kind of marketing campaign or a kind of the art world. Ooh, look, they're a genius on their own working in a little studio, aren't they? They're good, aren't they? But in actual fact, he's saying that there's within the art world, and I think this probably applies to design and music and other things as well, but you've got like the gallery owner, you've got the museum, you've got the auction house, the patron, the sponsors, who else is there? The artist, critiques, magazines, and all these groups of people basically have a kind of consensus of what is considered art. And it's I guess it's an ongoing process, and it's moving, it's changing, but without that consensus, it would be very hard to actually define art and to put a value on it. And obviously, art has a value, it's worth a lot of money. And that industry is very much about money, right? And establishing values of things and measuring things. So I think, again, it's kind of relating to this ugly, beautiful thing. How do we gauge things? This Tracy Emin, this work, My Bed, which it's ugly. It's her bodily fluids and bottles of vodka and condoms and sanitary towels and all those kind of things. So it's an ugly thing, but I don't know. I'm not sure if I wouldn't necessarily say it's good art or bad art, but this has been. I guess it's been approved, in a way, by that art community, by the art world, maybe it was a bit edgy for them, but they decided collectively that this is art, right? They could have dismissed it and went, shut up, you know, make your bed, you know? But they didn't. They were like, yep, that is art. And I think Saatchi bought this for 150,000 pounds. And then it was sold last year for 2.5 million pounds, right? So you can see there's a lot of money in that art piece. And actually for that art piece to command those kind of prices, there has to be an official version. That has to be art. It has to have the stamp of this art community. Otherwise, it's like it would just go nuts. People would just be like, not making their beds and selling them for millions of pounds. It just wouldn't work, right? So I guess, yeah, there's this kind of yes or no thing going on. So a personal story. About 5 years ago, a friend of mine invited me out for a drink. There's a bar on Cochrane Street underneath the escalator with heavy traffic. He was like, do you want to play the yes or no game? I was like, what's the yes or no game? He was like, okay, so every girl that walks by, just yes or no. Just snap decision. I was like, and we know what the yes or the no is. It's like, would you not, right? And I was like, well, this film's a bit strange, but I'll give it a try. And so we got into this, had a few more drinks, yeah, but it was quite brutal, you know? It was like these girls are walking by and like, yes, no, yeah, no, yeah, no, yes. I was like, this is such a weird game. But you kind of, it was you know, something different to do of an evening. And then this came along, and it's like, so this is basically the embodiment of that game, but probably with, in a way, like there's a chance that it might actually go somewhere. Sitting in a pub with a dude going, yes, no, that's not going to get you laid, right? But maybe Tinder might. And I was like, ooh, okay, I'll try that. So obviously you have to upload a profile picture. And I was like, that'll do it. So I put this on Tinder, signed up, and then I was swiping. I can't remember. Was it left for yes or right for no? Come on. Shut up. Really? Yeah, okay. All right, well, I was swiping yes, a couple of no's, a few yeses, a few more no's, a few yeses. Probably, I don't know, maybe 1,000 swipes after, you know. And then woke up the next morning and I checked and I was like, there's not a single match, not one single match. I was like, how can this be? And a bit dismayed. So then a friend of mine who happened to be a girl, I explained this to her and she was like, well, let me see your profile picture. And she saw that and she said, well, no wonder, you idiot. Like, no one is going to swipe yes to that. And I explained, I had a strategy with this photograph. So I was like, well, you know, there is a chance, even though it's kind of a hookup platform thing, but there's a chance that you could meet the one, right? And I was like, well, I don't want to just put, I need to test her, right? And if she can see past the comb over and the book about pigeons, then it's a good way to kind of vet, you know, you don't want just riff-raff swiping yes, right? But yeah, basically I didn't get a single swipe and I was like, a bit sad, so I decided to quit Tinder and I haven't looked back since, so there's a lesson there, I think. Okay, so creativity. How does ugly relate to creativity? And I think this was kind of if you read the website, there's a little intro that someone wrote about ugly, right? Kind of, you know, a kind of prompt, I guess. So I read that, and I was thinking, okay, so ugly, we're designers or creative people. So is our job to kind of separate the ugly from the beautiful, to navigate through ugliness to get to something beautiful? Or is it about changing something ugly into beautiful, right? Some kind of alchemic process. Is it that the client is ugly, which is often the case? Not necessarily physically, but like, are they brutal with their demands, you know, budgets, blah, 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 deadlines, deliverables, you know, is that the ugly part of being creative? And then we have to kind of, from that chaos, find beauty, right, as designers and creative people. So that's one way to look at it, which is kind of, I guess, a starting point. But I didn't really want to look at it like that. So I was thinking, beauty is bland. Too much beauty is bland, right? And walking around the streets and looking at magazines and advertising and just like, Jesus, really? Like, it's just one-dimensional. And there's so much of it, right? I think we're very obsessed with how things look. And yeah, I don't know. I started thinking about that a little bit, which maybe will manifest later on. A bit of context, just to give you my background. So obviously I'm known for Clockenflap. I'm actually like a graphic designer by trade. Well, not really by trade, but I went to school and did graphic design. And this is kind of pre-computers. So we didn't really do much graphic design, actually. We smoked a lot of weed and you know, thought about things and stayed up too late. And started DJing at that time as well, which was fun. And then I came to Hong Kong, just purely by chance, and then got a job for a year in a graphic design agency, Mark and Chantal, which was great. And actually, this is the first time that I was kind of exposed to design, actually, because at school, yeah, well, computers were rubbish and didn't really go to the library that much, to be honest. So I was in this design agency, and all these magazines and books about design. And it's like, wow, this is amazing. There's designers out there and designs and like images and things, and got really sucked into it. And but I didn't really know how to get. I saw these end results in these kind of design books, but couldn't quite figure out how you get to that point. And maybe I lacked the experience or the training to develop a concept through to the end result. So I was looking at these beautiful things in these design books, and I was like, well, how's that possible? And sitting in front of the computer and mousing things around and drawing a square and a triangle, and then go to the filter section and filter it a bit and tweak it. And it's just like, it's not, I don't know, I did that for a year. Plus, obviously, servicing clients, it was a job. Quick turnarounds in Hong Kong as well. I'm sure everyone knows it's like you don't have much time to explore and make mistakes and mess around. So after about a year of this, it's already gone on to the next one. I kind of had a sickness, I guess you could say, of the mind, maybe. And I just couldn't handle it anymore. And I think also being stuck in a chair for like however many hours a day. I went to do half days on Saturday as well, which is shockingly bad. So I quit my job and then had some kind of weird thinking that maybe I would become a cool graphic designer. So I bought a computer and a chair and found an old door that I used as a table. But then I hit this point, oh wait, sorry. This nothing means anything, and this occurs every now and again in my life where literally nothing means anything. I couldn't afford aircon, so I had to strip down to my underpants and basically was just sitting there sweating in Hong Kong with a computer and an empty screen, and I was just like, what am I doing? What is this? Unfortunately, at the same time, I was organising events at a place called C-Top. I don't know if people have been around for a while, they may know this place. It's like quite a legendary, it was a gay karaoke, kind of in Central, near the escalator area. And it's pretty much where every single house and techno, hip-hop night in Hong Kong basically started in that place. It was one place. This is like 18 years ago. So anyway, we were doing parties there. And yeah, I guess this idea of gravity. So I wasn't really becoming the graphic designer that I thought I was going to become, but things were coming to me just because I was engaged and enjoying DJing and organising parties. And there was a transformation with that as well, like this gay karaoke club, which was fine for a gay karaoke club, but tiger skin sofas and cushion covers didn't really fit with our idea of techno and how cool techno was. So then spandex came along, purely by chance actually. $30 a yard from Shamshipo, you can get 50 yards on a roll. It's about 72 inches high. And so myself and a good friend of mine, Robert Luxton, who was part of the robot thing. So we got into spandex, and we discovered that if you buy some wire and some wire cutters, and you get a ladder, and then you can see all these kind of like fixing points in the ceiling, like these pipes and conduit and stuff like that. You can basically just stretch this stuff and make insane, really cool organic shapes. And it's obviously, it takes light very well, projections. You don't need to plan it, you don't need to design it, you don't need to measure anything. You just literally just kind of walk into a room, do that a bit. We'd always kind of walk around and just kind of like test for like places to fix things, and people were like, what are you freaks, what are you doing? That's what we did. So we did that for quite a long time actually, and we've pretty much spandexed every venue in Hong Kong, I think, almost every single hotel, pretty much every bar, convention centre, Asia World Expo, everywhere. And it was good. It was really good for us actually. It kind of kept us, the graphic design thing didn't really pan out. I'll probably be like a lot skinnier than I already am if I just relied on that. The only downside with spandex for me personally is that it is so good that it's kind of a one-stop solution, fix everything scenario type thing. So whenever we're doing Clockenflap, and there's any kind of unsightly thing or a hole or it's like, get the spandex out, and it's like, oh, really? And there's only myself and Rob that can do this, so I should probably not be doing spandex, but I am. I still do spandex every now and again. So Clockenflap, and this is really what I'm known for. I'm certainly not known for my graphic design skills. So again, ugly, beautiful. The word, the name, like where did this come from? People often ask that question. So I was a bit drunk one night, New Year's Eve, about 10 years ago, and I just started, for some reason, I was at a house party, and just had this piece of paper and just started scribbling down words. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, it's just like, just kind of possessed somehow. And then one of the words was Clockenflap, and I was like, what is that? That looks like something. And then kept drinking, obviously. And then, I don't know, it must have been about 5 a.m., and I was like staring at this word. And my best friend Mike, who is a Clockenflap partner, and we were DJing together at the time. So he happened to be in Belgium, and I think it was 5 a.m. Hong Kong time, which would have been about 2 a.m. Europe time or something. Anyway, it was late in Hong Kong. So I called him up, and I was like, Mike. And he was like, what, it's 2 a.m. I was like, I've got a word. And he was like, what? And I was like, Clockenflap. And he was like, shut up. And basically, like, I'll speak to you tomorrow and put the phone down. And that was, in a way, that was the first time that the word was written and was communicated, was at 5, 6 a.m. in the morning to Mike. There are some problems with this word. And I swear, right, this is not, I don't know, maybe my subconscious is depraved, but my conscious mind had no, I wasn't thinking about those two things. I was thinking about clocks, if anything, and flaps, like cat flaps, right? Or like advent calendar flaps, or like letterbox, not those other, right? So we had some really strange phone calls with people. We were trying to explain, like, this, what's your email address? J@Clockenflap. I was like, what? Anyway, and then people would call us back and were like, what's this festival thing called? Porky crab, clocken crab, what is it? So that was like the first year. And then, okay, so this gave us an idea for the first set of trailers, actually, for the first year. So we had all this idea of wordplay, I guess. Is it playing? Okay. Bit dark. Okay, and there's another one here, mackerel slap. Oh, Jesus, sorry, my fingers. Okay. So that was our marketing strategy for for the first year. And the point of that was to explain in a way what the festival was about somehow, which clearly it didn't. I think, yeah, if you've got a name like Clockenflap, don't confuse it anymore with craziness like that. So, okay, so the word, yeah, so It is an odd word, but it's weird. As time went by and as we started to see it appear on things like flyers and posters and T-shirts and whatnot, it actually kind of gained some kind of significance, maybe. Or maybe it was the fact that the festival was growing and we were proud of what we were doing, you know, and I think it was working really well. People were happy. So maybe the word reflected somehow the success of the festival, or I don't know. And it was kind of a barometer for us of how we actually displayed the word. And obviously we're very happy to have sponsors and work with sponsors, but we very much like the idea of keeping the brand kind of clean and, you know, not like it presents Clockenflap, you know, it's just Clockenflap. Okay, so that was always really important for us. And then having this big word on the stage like that was also something that we thought was a good idea. Budget was a bit of a problem. As you can see, the way that we actually got that word on the stage was to print a banner from eShop or whatever, you know. It's the cheapest way to make a big word. And I think the first year we put some bamboo in the top and we got some wires going. Notice the spandex in the background as well? Yeah, that was me. Okay, and then year 2, look at that. I mean, at the time we weren't really aware of it. We were just kind of trying to make it tidy up as best we could, but looking back, it's just so ugly, that banner. It's just like, ooh, it sends a shiver down my spine. And then I think this is the first year at West Kowloon. So it's still banner. I think the stage is bigger, the festival's growing, but there's still this stupid banner thing. And then this was a moment for us. We're like, we've got an LED panel. But they're not cheap though, those things. It was like $60,000 for the weekend or something, just to get a word. You know, it's like $5,000 for a banner, $60,000 for a big telly. And we're like, big telly. And obviously there's no spandex, which I don't know quite what happened there. Or maybe I was somewhere else, I don't know. But this was last year, so it got bigger again. I think it's like 18 meters wide now, the word Clockenflap. And that's Tenacious D performing. So again, it's just like each year, it's like, as the festival grows, the word gets bigger. And like I said, I think it reflects the spirit of the festival, actually. So the word is kind of meaningless and pointless, you know. But yeah, I think it's the whole thing that validates that word somehow. This was last year as well. So I had a little moment on my own, and I stood somewhere here. And I think it was just before Travis played or whatever, and there's the big Clockenflap word, just some moody lights, not really much going on. And just, I don't know, seeing Hong Kong in the background, and we had the new stage from last year. And it was just nuts. It was like, wow, this is from that little scribble on a bit of paper to that. And it's nuts. I mean, and it's really, it's not just me, right? There's 3 of us that organise the festival, and then there's a big team of people as well, right? A lot of local people. It's a really good, nice family experience, and I think that's what is the heart. For me personally, that's the kind of heartwarming aspect of Clockenflap. It's the team. Okay, and then Birdie, which is another one of our assets. Again, kind of ugly, clonky, you know, like a box with some wings and a comb over. It's a little secret that designers won't admit to that often, but using Illustrator, you can copy and paste things very quickly, and you can kind of cheat and save time, and you've got your assets maybe from the last job that you did. So basically, Robot, which was the name of the event that we did at C-Top. So this was a character that I designed. It's kind of a clunky robot with a stupid little grabber on the top. But actually, going back to Birdie, the reason why he's got a box for a body is because I literally just got the robot, copied it across, and went delete robot arm, delete wheels, add wings, add comb over. And that was it. And that's why he's clunky. So, I don't know, yeah, is that good or bad? I'm not sure. Okay, and then so this year, again, it's something that I'm tasked with each year, is designing these characters, which is quite traumatic, I have to say, because I'm not spending enough time as an illustrator. So it's like, I've got to get my head into that. So maybe this year I think I'll probably work with some other illustrators, because I think it makes more sense, actually. So I was really doing my head in. I had to like spend a week on Llama and just sketch and try and kind of get into the mood, and then came up with this character called Mim King, which is kind of a Yeti. we actually found out, one of my good friends, Volkert, a German fellow, we found out his middle name is Mimken. Mimken. And we're like, what kind of middle name is Mimken? So when we were looking for a name for this thing, we're like, Mimken. Okay, that kind of... So then we kind of developed from the sketch, and, you know, and it made sense, actually. It kind of, this Yeti, Hong Kong, you know, another character to kind of play around with. And marketing, so we've got a very small team. Marketing was like really excited. Oh, we can do loads of stuff with this Mimkin thing. Oh, it's going to be amazing. It's going to sell the festival. It's going to win the hearts and minds of Hong Kong people. And so we were like, well, we'll make a costume. We'll make this big Mimkin thing and take it out on the street. And then that came back. And, okay, this is my fault because I didn't actually follow through the process. We've got a really good costume maker, but I was busy or lazy and didn't really bother to follow it up. So this thing arrives and we're like, what is that? And it was so big that it wouldn't even fit in one of those minivans. So we had to get a lorry. Every time we took this thing out, we just loaded it into this bloody lorry. And we couldn't find people willing to get into this thing. I got into it once and it was not pleasant. And so the only people we could find were really short for some reason. So his legs are all kinked and then his antenna kind of snapped. I think the kids probably enjoyed it, but we were just like, this is shocking. This is not the quality that we're aiming for. So after the festival, when we were like, right, what are we going to keep and what are we going to throw away? And we're like, Mimkin goes, right? So no more Mimkin. Okay, so aesthetics and venue. Venue's really important for us. This was Cyberport. Nothing bad to say about Cyberport. It was amazing. They gave the venue for free. There were it was power, toilets. There's that big LED screen. It was really cool. The only thing is, in our minds, what we were doing with Clockenflap was kind of creating a mini Glastonbury in Hong Kong. And that was the vision, the dream, you know. We're going to be cool. It's going to be a cool festival. And then one of the bands from the first year, they were like, oh, nice festival, but strange venue. And we're like, what do you mean? And like, it's a bit like a business park, isn't it? And we're like, fuck. Like, that's not the Glastonbury thing that we were looking for, you know? So we're like, but anyway, and we did it for another year, and then we were, I mean, it all kind of made sense. We had to leave Cyberport because we made a bit too much noise. We left on good terms, but yeah, it was a bit much. It was a bit of a business park. And then West Kowloon, which we found by flying over on Google Maps, and we're like, what's that? And it looks amazing from that photograph. It's like, it's stunning. I guess, again, ugly, beautiful. I'd say it's raw, you know, and obviously, so there's a bit around the edge, and that was formerly managed by LCSD. So that was kind of tarted up, but the rest of it has just been pretty much left to kind of go fallow. So obviously they're going to be doing the park soon, so it's pointless spending money on a kind of, you know, tarting it up. So it was perfect for us. And then last year, we kind of got into that bit, which was amazing. We built a bridge, and it's great for us because it's a raw space, and we can do anything we want. We can drive bulldozers around. I mean, it's insane, these machines that appear. I'm like, what's that machine? And it's like digging things and moving things. I'm like, this is great. It's like just playing with a toy set. So then, maybe some people know, maybe some people don't, but we're moving to Kai Tak this year, actually, because West Kowloon's already, well, they're going to break ground very soon, start work on the park, and we'll be going back to West Kowloon, and we're actually working with them on the park design a bit, or we're helping them, giving some feedback in terms of like, where can we put stages, and does it make sense from a festival point of view, so that's really cool. But this is exciting for us because it's ugly, you know, it's that raw space, and that's the, you know, the cruise terminal thing on the left, and there's venues in there that we can use, so maybe we can make noise later, louder, longer, which would be cool. And it's actually about the same size as West Kowloon. Wine and Dine was there last year, so it works as a venue. So anyway, that's what we're doing next year. Shrubs. I hate shrubs. Shrubs are the devil's work, right? And the reason I say that, there are some shrubs. So this was West Kowloon under LCSD management. So we went there one day for a site visit, and me and Mike kind of hopped over the shrubs and got onto the grass. And we're like, this is a nice bit of grass. And then we hopped back over, and then we were chatting to the LCSD people, and we're like, how are people actually going to get, like a lot of people, like thousands of people, how are they going to get over these shrubs and back again without trampling on the shrubs? Aren't the shrubs in the way? And the LCSD response was, that's why they're there, to stop people from going on the grass. And we're like, really? Like, there's not much grass to sit on in Hong Kong. And the one bit of grass that there is, they've built this hedge fortress, a shrub thing, right? Anyway, so in that year, we got, even though it was a free event because we couldn't charge because of LCSD, we had a $100,000 bill for shrub replacement, right? That's why I hate shrubs. So, I don't know I just found this off the internet, but this, no disrespect to landscape architects, but this kind of swirly, bushy, top view thing, I think it looks good on paper, but I'm not sure that in reality it always works, okay? That's all I'm going to say. I was up in ICC once and looking down on, I think it's Gateway, and I looked down and I was like, wow, that's really cool. There's like all these concentric rings of bushes and shrubs and green things, and it looks really nice. And when I got down there, I was like, can't get past the shrubs. I was like, it doesn't work. I found this when I was doing some I don't know who she is, I don't know what she's up to, but I think she's got the right idea. Okay, hedgerows. There's a hedgerow. I'm from Devon in England, and you've got a lot of these hedgerows, and I think hedgerows, when you think of hedgerows and think of shrubs, hedgerows win. It's kind of an ecosystem there. It's things intertwining. It's, I guess, native plants to that piece of land or country, whatever. There's foxes and squirrels and badgers and God knows what else in that, what's it called, hedge. And that it's an alive, it's a thing, it's alive, right? It's not this stupid shrub border, right? So I like hedgerows. Graham Street Market. Bit of a weird segue, but it's kind of like a hedge. There's people living there. You've got mangoes, you've got apples. There's kind of layers of things intertwining. Yeah, I really like Graham Street Market, and the reason I mention this is that about 6 or 7 years ago, maybe longer, we found out that the URA was planning to basically destroy Graham Street Market, which they are doing right now, actually. And they had, we just didn't trust them, basically. They don't have a track record of preserving things in Hong Kong. And so me and some friends decided to kind of try and mount a campaign and organize an exhibition just to kind of draw attention to this wonderful market and the color and the textures and the community and rah, rah, rah. So we did this thing called High and Dry, which was the idea that if you build a high skyscraper, the little fishy is going to be dry and unhappy. And so we met these amazing people in the market, and we just walked through, spent a lot of time there and photographed people, chatted to people, and it was very much the community thing, like it functions really well. Tourists get this, when they come to Hong Kong, one of the first places they go to is these places, the wet market, right? And so for the government to be destroying this is crazy. Anyway, this guy, he's cool. He used to have a shop on the bottom of Graham Street and Wellington Street. It was that really old, it almost looked medieval. They're like these weird beams and kind of holding the whole thing together. And that was a living history, You could walk into this shop and it probably hasn't changed for like 50 years. And it's been boarded up for the last 10 years. It's like, well, why pointless, Just keep it open. Nice bit of fish. She was lovely. And then this is what they give us, right? Which is so ugly, right? And I think it's called Old Shop Street, right? And it's just like there are old shops there already, just don't close them. And notice the tower blocks on top that have been kind of faded out. It's like, I wonder why that is, right? That, to me, is the zombie apocalypse, right? That's not the reality, it's just an artist's sketch, but that's probably the reality. This is Island Crest, right? And this is 1st Street, 2nd Street. This used to be a really vibrant community. There's like 5, 6 floor walk-ups, little shops, people that lived there for, a very long time. And now this giant boot has just crushed everything. And, beauty, okay, the flat's expensive, beautiful, nice, lovely sea view, whatnot. But that big club foot that's just stomped on all of that, that community spirit, it's just, I don't know, it's a shame. So yeah, beauty is not always positive thing, maybe. What was I going to talk about here? Seduction, beauty. I can't say this word for some reason. Fetishization. Can't say it. So what does that mean? So again, I looked it up. Eliciting unquestioning reverence. So again, as creative people, we're concerned with how things look, if things are beautiful or ugly. But I think maybe perhaps it's gone a bit too far in certain areas. Can you guess what they're doing? Yep. And these people as well. And this just astounds me. I mean, you know, an iPhone is a tool. It's a useful thing. It's nicely designed. But to queue up and to sleep under pink blankets and deck chairs, it's like, I don't know, does that make any sense? And then to be so happy, you know? Really, it's a phone. Wait. Oops, sorry. This guy. I don't know. I think that's ugly. Not him per se, but just that whole spirit. People queuing up and going mental for a phone. It's just, I don't know. It's a shocker. So anyway, I mean, the phone itself is you know, it's a good thing. I'm sure half the people in this room have got phones in their pockets, iPhones. There is a slightly uglier side to iPhones, and not just Apple, but other products as well. I think there's the really ugly side of it, which I don't know enough about to really talk about, but the way that some of these things are produced in the factories we've heard about, like Shenzhen. But this is something that I discovered quite recently. Planned obsolescence. Apparently it started with the light bulb. There's a great documentary called The Light Bulb Conspiracy. Highly recommend it. So you can find it on YouTube. And it basically talks about, I think this is early 20th century. So the main electrical companies that were producing light bulbs formed a cartel. So they came together and they're like, right, okay, and at that time, a light bulb would last for 2,500 hours. Right? And they were pretty much standardized. They had it down, right? So you twist it in, turn it on, 2,500 hours of light bulb action, right? And then these buggers were like, what if we reduce the lifespan of the light bulb to 1,000 hours by just tweaking the process of making it? So that's what they did, and they signed an agreement. They would actually be fined and penalized if any light bulb went beyond that 1,000 hours, right? And you can imagine their profits doubled overnight, which if you're in the light bulb industry is no bad thing, right? But if you want some nice light bulbs that last you know, more than 1,000 hours, this light bulb here, right, is actually in a fire station in America. It's 100 years old. It's the oldest light bulb in the world. And this is part of that documentary, okay? So these are not my ideas, this is the documentary's ideas. He's happy with his light bulb. And I guess this slipped through the net somehow. This light bulb was maybe how they used to make light bulbs. They used to just go on forever, right? They actually celebrated the birthday of this light bulb recently, and they had a big party for it. And hey, it's in that documentary. Seriously, it's worth watching. It's so good. Yeah. Okay, Venus flytrap. I'm kind of coming to the end now. So, I remember my gran had one of these things on her windowsill, and I think maybe my dad had explained the idea that they catch flies and they dissolve them with acid. And I was like, how does that work? And he's like, well, the fly goes in, and it shuts on the fly. And I was like, I remember being a little kid and putting my little finger in and going, whoa, it's like, it's going to get me, it's going to get me. And being terrified of this thing. I was quite timid when I was younger. But yeah, the reason these carnivorous plants function by attracting things towards them through their beauty. They're appealing to things, right? I mean, look at that. That is a beautiful thing. It's a carnivorous plant. But if you're a fly, don't go near that. If you go anywhere near that thing, you're going to get glooped onto it and dissolved, right? Little worm. He's toast. Fly, you know? And the reason I mention this is that I do wonder whether, are we seduced by things too much? Are we about to be dissolved in acid by Apple? You know? Maybe. Okay, to conclude. So I guess, yeah, how would I conclude? So yeah, as artistic director of Clockenflap, I'm not anti-design, I'm not anti making things look nice, right? I like, of course, I've got an appreciation for aesthetics and how things look. I do think that we might have gone a bit too far in certain areas. I think like have you heard of The Beauty Myth by Naomi Klein? That's a great book. So she really explores the idea of women's beauty and what it means in the world and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, it's another great book to read. Yeah, maybe we have gone a bit too far. I think we need to pull back a little bit and maybe just take stock of where we are. And this is more of a philosophical rambling that I can't go on with now. But you know, it's just like what we're actually doing, what we're saying, who are we, what we're producing. Objects used to be valued for their longevity and their durability, and you wouldn't seek to replace things continually, you know. And maybe that's not the case now, right? It's about some symbolic meaning attached to products and who am. Ooh, look at me with my phone. Ooh, you know. So anyway, yeah. And I think in my role with Clockenflap, it's not about making this stunning, beautiful object, you know, that's impenetrable. It's not about putting an art installation there that people can look at but can't touch. It's all about kind of tactile experiences, and things can be ugly. You know, it doesn't. I'm fine. It's totally fine. Yeah, just I think real things that people can interact with and some meaning, and not just this kind of surface fluff. That's what I would say. That's what I did say. Yeah. All right. Thank you.